graphics that I've given you, you see a country like South Korea, in 1960, its economy was literally around the same size as that one of Uganda. It was around $155 per capita. Uganda was around 60. So we were not far off. But because South Korea has relied on the knowledge economy, science, technology, and innovation, you see its GDP per capita is now $32,000. $32,000. Ours is around 1,100. But you see what they are doing? Electronics, automobiles, the handies that the Samsungs that you're holding in your pockets, electronics, aerospace, etc., etc. All that is the knowledge economy. Do you know how much money Samsung makes in a year? Lagging behind, but that is what the government is now insistent on changing. Now, the NRM Manifesto is categorical, and the president has been insistent from day one. You know, he was the champion of forming when the NRM government came to power, we had Donny Makere University. In 1990, we started the other science university. In fact, he's always complaining that I wanted this to be pure science, and you brought other things into it. We formed specialized institutions, the National Council for Science and Technology, NARO, URI, all these things. Now we have so many universities across the nation. And you know that the president also started presidential initiatives in order to support scientists to put products on the market. Now, for some reason, the speed was not as he desired. And in 2021, government took a step back. And I'll quote this. This was a directive given by His Excellency in 2021. Referring to science, technology, and innovation, he said that there was a lot of obstruction in the way science, technology, and innovation, which I'll call STI going forward, for simplicity, was being implemented in the nation. So since no one was appreciating his vision of a science-led economy, he was going to handle it directly. So he took a very radical step and abolished the ministry that was there. You know, we were talking about public service. So the challenge with public service is that people like working in silos. Make a thing. Now, STI by nature is supposed to touch every sector. So when it is the ministry, and it is at the level of other ministries, everyone goes into make a thing, and nothing moves. So he elevated it and said, this is going to be under my office. So he created a secretariat under office of the president. And that is now the institution that I represent, and which is led by the Honorable Minister for Science, Technology, and Innovation, Honorable Musenero Masanza, whose role is to ensure that we coordinate all the players to ensure that we achieve 3 economy-facing goals. 1 is import substitution, 2, export of knowledge-based products, and 3, productivity acceleration, focusing solely on knowledge-based goods and services. And I'll show you that this is actually one of the interventions that was supposed to be made within the manifesto. This, rearranging the system, the policy framework for science, so that we're able to move faster. I'll skip that, but in brief, you can go to your university and do your research, get your publications, become a professor, but that will not benefit the economy, will it? No. If your science is not solving our problems of poverty and underdevelopment, you can as well keep it. And that is why government has been very clear that it's going to invest in science, because for a long time, we were being supported by donors. Now, donors dictate the agenda and take what we call intellectual property. They end up owning our creations of the mind, and we end up not putting any products of our own on the market. So the vision is very clear, and it was documented by His Excellency in the budget speech of 2023, that we must have a GDP of 550 billion. In fact, he brought the target even closer and said, I want this by 2030, not 2040. And he also gave us some additional jargon. He said, we're going to call this a qualitative leap. Now, traditional factor-based economics would talk about quantitative expansion. I have been selling 20 kilos of beans, I multiply and sell 40. But on top of that, don't sell the 40. Add value to the 40 so that instead of earning 10,000 from a kilo of beans, you're able to earn 30,000. That's what is called the qualitative leap. So qualitative leap deals with improvement in the quality of what you're selling, not necessarily just in its quantity. Now, we have what we call the STI economic highway. The science, that one is what you study in school. Technology is now you develop the tools from the science. You start to make application of the science. But where the rubber hits the road is innovation. Innovation is now turning those tools into something that people can use. For example, if you look at your phone, a glass alone, the touch screen is a technology. But if it is not part of the phone, it's not useful, is it? No. So you can have multiple technologies that can contribute to a single innovation. And innovation is that which solves a need, that which you can actually sell because someone out there wants it. And we say innovation is not complete until you have a product or a service that is on the market, desired by a given number of users who are willing to pay for it. Now, if we stopped at innovation, again, we wouldn't be hitting the jackpot. We must add manufacturing, because that's where we standardize and are able to produce at scale, and then we go to commercialization, which is the trade component. And then we have, now I'm laboring to go through this because it's going to, I'll quickly go through the progress we've made, but it's important for us to get this background. Now, we talked about creations of the mind. This means that everything starts with an idea. But this idea has to be nurtured. This idea has to be taken through a number of steps before it becomes a product that can be used. So we have what we call the idea to market journey, and we split it into 4 phases. Now, leaders, it's important for you to understand that just because, and we usually get this challenge with the public, just because you funded something once doesn't mean that it is ready to go to the market. Because if I start with an idea, the first thing I would do is maybe turn it into something, prove a concept in a laboratory. The next thing will be, maybe now I develop a technology that I can validate. Then maybe now I register a business that will take on this innovation and take it to the market. So you see, we have first phase gives you a prototype. Second phase gives you what we call an early stage innovation-driven enterprise. In the third phase, we have a profitable enterprise. And ideally, we would want all to be in the 4th phase there, where you've heard of companies that are even being listed on the stock exchange. Now, if I asked you of any Ugandan company that has been born out of our local research and development that has reached phase 3 or phase 4, you may not be able to list more than 5 of them. They are quite very few. Can you mention any? Anyone? Yes? Yes, Murwana, Uganda batteries, certainly. Murwana would be here. Viable product to competitiveness. So it's a profitable enterprise. Any other? Any other? Mukwano. Yes, Mukwano Industries. Mukwano Industries would also be in phase 3. They have quite a number of innovative products. Yes? Yes? No, Kira Motors is here. That is why we still have to give it money, because it has finished R&D, it has put in place production facilities, it is just starting to sell now, which means it's not yet profitable. So it's still in phase 2. Yes? Madvani. Madvani, certainly, yes. Now, of course, we can talk about innovation-driven enterprises and give them categories. So if, let's say, you're just, processing raw materials and adding at the first level, I think the impact probably would be less than if you're stretching the value chain and creating a very high quality product. Now, we have a strategy and aligned with the manifesto, and it's written right across my chest here. We want to make Uganda the best and most technologically advanced nation in the region. The short form of that is making Uganda the best. Please repeat it with me, because we have to say it and believe it. And in the NRM, there is no wavering, isn't it? Do we believe that we can make Uganda the best? Yes. And become the best? And in fact, I'll show you some of the things we're doing. We're the only ones doing them in Africa. And some of these things we're the only ones doing them in the entire world. Now, our strategy is double-pronged, and this is very important for you. One, we are creating what we are calling the new economy. The new economy means we are venturing into areas where we were not known to be contributing. Then in the traditional economy, we are looking at what we have always traditionally sold as raw materials. Your coffees, your raw mineral oils, all these agro products, your beef, your dairy, your poultry, and most of these that are even coming out of PDM now. How do you add value so that you, one, extend shelf life, but you also improve the value? Now, the pillars of this strategy are the key investment areas. We can't do this if we don't have the right infrastructure. We can't do this if we don't have the right human capital, not labor, human capital. We can't do this if we don't have the right investment. We can't do this if we don't have the right policy in place that is facilitative. And then, of course, a facilitative ecosystem overall. I don't have time today to go through our principles, but I want to emphasize one of these. It is brutal integrity. If you are to step on a plane, and they told you that when a Boeing engineer was making this plane, instead of using aluminum of 5 millimeter thickness, they used 2 millimeters and pocketed the rest. And so this plane has a 5% chance of crashing. Would you climb on the plane? Certainly not. Now, science is actually intolerant of corruption, because if you introduce any manyanga in your processes, if you manipulate data, it will show up in the final product. And the market will be unforgiving, because if the product is bad, you will not sell it to anyone. Now, I should also emphasize the scientific process. That is where we do the chibaro. Everything we're touching is by design. It's informed by empirical evidence. So it's not about feelings. And we've had challenges with some of our leaders who say, no, this makes sense. But we do the math and it doesn't work. So when we tell you that, please believe it, and let's get on the table and always find out which value chain can work, which value chain. And Mzee is always emphasizing this. Now, in the new economy, we have 5 areas. We have mobility, that's where Chira Motors is, that's automotive manufacturing. But we're also supporting a lot of people that are making 2- and 3-wheelers. Focus is on electric mobility. In the pathogen economy, that's where we are making our medicines, our vaccines, our diagnostics, and many other things, including medical equipment. In aeronautics and space, Now, some people may say, why are you going into aeronautics and space? You see, this is highly strategic for our national security. And I'll tell you, even for civilian applications, when we had landslides in Bulambuli recently, OPM actually called upon our team, and we've been using satellite imagery to map out the households to ease, the resettling, but we were also now told to see if, because we were told there were some unrecovered bodies, that we can use satellite imagery to also help in that recovery effort. So if you don't have eyes on your own household and someone else does, you're in trouble. That is why space is very important. Infrastructure innovations, that is, almost every equipment in this country is imported. We want to change that. The engineering, growing the engineering capacity of this nation, including adding value to our raw mineral ores, your iron ore, your lithium, your cobalt, and many others. And then Industry 4.0, which is the high tech. The high tech is your electronics, your robotics, your artificial intelligence, your high-end software now that you're buying from Microsoft and Google and many others. Now, these value chains have been meticulously chosen for a reason. I'll show you an example of pathogen economy. $12 trillion is the global market, even if we go to 1% of that. And it is possible because we have the best natural products, the best plants from which all medicines are derived. So, market opportunity, potential for import substitution, potential to ignite other value chains, national strategic importance, etc. Then we have the traditional economy, where now we look at what our local people grow, how can we add value to it so that we get more value. I will quickly now go to the promises that we have in the manifesto and show you the progress that we've made. Now, in the manifesto proper, we had 9 promises. Promise number 1, adoption of a multi-sectoral approach to STI in the nation, so that we are coalescing around the same goal. Promise number 2, increasing funding to research institutions so that they can acquire state-of-the-art technologies, that is infrastructure. You see, the promises are actually aligned to the pillars that I showed you in our strategy. 3, establishment of technology business incubators. 4, operationalization of the Kira vehicle plant. It was a key manifesto promise. 5, provision of flexible financing arrangements for innovation-driven enterprises. 6, better pay for scientists, which is really not in our core mandate, but we contribute to it. 7, creation of a supportive ecosystem for individuals with innovative ideas. 8, creation of a supportive environment for STI. And 9, support for human capital development. So as you can see, all our promises are aligned to the pillars that are essential for science, technology, and innovation to succeed in the nation. Now, in addition to the core promises, we also had additional strategic directives and guidelines, some from the president, some from cabinet, and some certainly coming from you. So, and those are listed here. So I'll cut it to the chase. This is our performance at a glance in just 3 years of existence. We have created more than 70,000 high-quality jobs. And these are well-paying jobs in the knowledge economy across the value chains. And we can break this down. Chira Motors alone now employs 300. Engineers, of course, businesses. Now, the good thing is, you see, if the importance of science, technology, and innovation is this. When you're making research and you're going all the way, you create opportunity for everyone downstream, even those that are non-scientists. It means you're creating jobs for the research, for the researchers. You're creating jobs at manufacturing. You're creating jobs at logistics. You're creating jobs in trading. You're creating jobs in legal. You're creating jobs across the board. But if you import a product from China, where do you start from? Which jobs are you creating? It's just trading, isn't it? It's just exchange. Huh? And by the way, we talked about GDP. I hope you know how it's calculated. If you import something, it doesn't contribute to GDP. Zero. Zero. GDP is an aggregate of what you're producing within your country. So every time you're importing, you're actually, in a way, reducing your GDP. You're contributing to other people's GDP. Now, we have attracted about 3.4 trillion in investment. This is not government money. Now, about half of this has already come into the country. This is money from all over the world, including also now money from some of our local people who have something else to invest in apart from brick and mortar. I'd like to tell this story, and I'll spend a minute on it, but I hope it gives you inspiration. I used to teach in a university, and I was mentoring a group of students. Long story short, when they were graduating, they had worked on a project under my mentorship, and I supported them. They were like, no, you know what, instead of looking for a job, how about we develop this further and take it to the market? Oh, well and good, but how are you going to survive? They were like, you have the solution, be our first investor. This was 2015. So I gave them 10 million shillings. So that they could survive, they could afford to buy some food here and get where to sleep and continue working. So in 2015, the 10 million that I invested got me 15% in their company because they were forming their company. Now, along the way, they have actually succeeded and put some products on the market. I'll tell you, right now I own 9% in that company. And you know how much it is worth? It is worth about 1 million euros, which is about 4 billion shillings, give or take. So if you do roughly 10% of that, that's probably 400 million, Uganda shillings. So which other, is there any business you can invest 10 million in and it gives you 400 million in 10 years? Probably not, isn't it? And that's why you see people always buying stock of these companies, Tesla, Microsoft, etc. Because the knowledge economy is so rapid. So we want to create opportunities for you to invest. So that instead of thinking that every time you get some money you have to buy land, you have to put up a shopping mall, know that there's an alternative. Someone has an idea that is bankable, will give you 100 times more than that piece of land will be able to give you. Besides, when we build that shopping mall, how many people is it going to employ? How many? I mean, you could count 10, right? But again, those may not be high quality jobs. But trust me, if you found a good business and you invested 100 million in it, an innovation-driven enterprise, and you help it grow, that 100 million can turn into 1 billion in 1 year. And I hope as we go through my list, you're able to identify a few things that you could invest in, those of you who are able to. We have also contributed to human capital development, we have trained more than 2,900 scientists. Now, promise one, adoption of a multi-sectoral approach. I've already told you about how our secretariat works. We work with everyone, and I'll give you a few examples. We have mobilized what we call the e-mobility ecosystem, electric mobility ecosystem, comprising more than 85 players within the nation. We have developed a strategy, and this alone has attracted more than 800 million investment, and 150 million of this, which is about 500 million billion give or take, is already in the country. But look at this ecosystem. It's not just government, it's not just research institutions, but you have the manufacturers in R&D, you have players in energy, you have transport planning, you have value chain financing, you have policy, you have digital infrastructure. So ecosystem thinking entails that you must get everyone in the room, everyone that matters, and they see how to contribute to take an industry forward. I see some people are dozing. Am I that boring? Simama juu. Asante sana. Ndio. Nyongeza tena. Ndio. All right. So, I'll quickly run through this and then we can discuss. Now, this is our e-mobility strategy that we have developed. It's actually available online. You can download it. Those of you who have smartphones, you can scan that QR code. This e-mobility strategy aims to transform Uganda into a net source of e-mobility products, not an importer, a net source of e-mobility products by 2030. It has several priorities. One, we have to manufacture our vehicles here. Two, we must manufacture the inputs. Three, of course, you need the infrastructure to support them, including charging stations, etc. We want to electrify public transport. The target is actually that by 2030, government has made a commitment that public transport should be fully electric. And you know, government already put a moratorium, a ban on importation of fully assembled buses. That is intention. Any country that succeeded in science, technology, and innovation did not do so by importing wherever they can. You have to protect your infant industries. So that is a strategic move. So this is where we are. For us to achieve that, we need an annual installed capacity of 500,000, meaning we can manufacture 500,000 vehicles per year. Right now we are about 10,000. Shira Motors has a capacity of 2,500. Then the private sector players who are making electric borders have a capacity of 7,500. Local content, we have a target of 65%. We are at around 18 to 30%, depending on the product category. And we have this principle of make some, buy some. You see, even if you looked at Toyota, and people always bring this question up, are you manufacturing or are you assembling? Even Benz, even Mercedes, even Toyota does not make all the parts that it does what? That it uses for its vehicles, isn't it? Yes. So you make some, you buy some, but you choose what is high value. It wouldn't make sense for us to start making bolts and nuts because those are low quality and you'll probably need to make 3 million of those per day to break even. So that's the principle. Our companies are now generating at least 37 billion annually. And this is just in 1 year of operation, and all of them are just starting gaining traction on the market. We have had investment of 514 billion from both the government and the private sector within the manifesto period. And within the manifesto implementation period alone, this sector has created more than 5,000 high-quality jobs. Now, director told me that where possible, I should always emphasize where you can see yourself, where your regions can see yourselves. So, have you seen these companies in your regions? Yes. Spiro? Yes. You've seen swapping stations? So most of these electric motorbikes, so as to lower the cost of operation, operate on a swapping model, battery swapping model. So instead of owning the battery, you go pick a battery, you ride, when it runs out, you go and pick a charged one, you give in the one that is drained. But of course, the charged one can help you run a couple of days, depending on how intensive you're running. So they were like 3 years ago in the market? Yes, yes. So there are so many players. Spiro, have you seen Zembo? Zembo, have you seen it? No? Zembo. Now, you will find charging stations for these motorbikes. I think on the Gulu Road, we have in Luwero and Gulu, has Spiro established yet? Spiro is in Gulu. Busia, is Spiro in Busia? Spiro is in Busia. Is Spiro in Imbarara? Yes. So we already have more than 5,000 electric motorbikes on the road, and they are all over. And here is the advantage. These electric motorbikes are 90% cheaper to operate than the conventional ICEs, the internal combustion engine motorbikes. And the reason is this. Of course, our power is there and it is cheap. But also, electric motorbikes have less moving parts, so they require less maintenance. Because this one is electric, if you put a liter of petrol, how long it will take you, and if you do the charging of an electric motorbike, how long it will take you, you'll find that 500 shillings on the electric side is equivalent to 5,000 shillings on this other side. So that's the economics. And that is why with these electric motorbikes, it is much easier for someone to get it, and even if they've acquired it on a loan, they can easily pay it off and break even, and they own the motorbike in a very short time compared to the petrol ones. So now the emphasis of government is how do we ramp up capacity? How do we give these players incentives so that they ramp up capacity, products go low, and then we have mass acquisition by our players on the market. We are emphasizing the mobility industry because we call it an industry of industries. A typical vehicle has more than 70,000 parts. And all these parts, if you look at the minerals that we have in our nation, lithium, graphite, of course now we have petrochemical coming up, copper, steel, aluminium, rubber, plastic, all these are things that we have, the raw materials. So, when we drive the industry towards research and development and final products and industrialization, it will be natural that we'll now have offtake. And it doesn't have to be, when I talk about the localization, it doesn't have to mean that Chira Motors is the one that is making the seats that is in the bus. Chira Motors focuses on a few things, and then your company, sir, makes the parts, the parts. It makes the seats. It makes the carpets made of bamboo. It makes the glass windows. So you see, so it creates a ripple effect in the economy. And that is how developed economies develop. Because you have the big players, and then you have small industries that feed into the big players. So you have intermediate goods that are contributing to the overall goods. So not everyone is striving to sell an end product, but you're selling an input to the next stage of the value chain. And again, I hope you can see companies that we were very excited. We recently visited a company on after MPG, places, I forget the place, it's called Standard Waves. Anyone knows it? Standard Waves Uganda. Now this company was started by a gentleman who didn't even go high in school. He used to import spare parts. Then he noticed, these Chinese are actually, I hope we don't have a Chinese person in the room. These Chinese are actually selling me second quality, second hand products. You see, the Chinese can make for you something that suits the money you have. So most of the things we have here are actually low quality. So he started, he invested. The man is making brake pads. The man is making oil filters. He's making air filters. He's recycling engine oil and it's pure to be used again. He's making so many amazing things, and we are supporting him. So we are touching many of these players in the ecosystem, but this is a cross-section. So far we have 21 enterprises. And I hope you're able to recognize a few that are from your regions, including the likes of Tembo Steel, Potenza Lubricants, and many others. Now, in terms of the charging network, you see electric vehicles need charging infrastructure. And here is another opportunity for our people. If I were you, and I have some good land along a highway, I wouldn't rush to put a shopping mall now. I would be thinking of charging stations. Because that's where we are headed. We need charging stations throughout the country. Government is putting the seed investment to demonstrate that this works. But ultimately, this is supposed to be private sector-led. So far, we have more than 30 charging stations within the country for electric vehicles, and then we have more than 150 swapping stations. Now, this is the, and we have charging stations as far as Iganga, Ruwero, the Chila vehicle plant. I should be done in about 20:30. Okay. So then we have some here in town at the judiciary. We have some at Amber House, Ministry of Energy. We have some in industrial area. So these are again all over the place. So it would be important for us to encourage our people to tap opportunities that are associated with some of these industries. And then public transport electrification, I already said we have a target for full electrification of public transport by 2030. That means all buses, all motorcycles should be fully electric. Because it makes economic sense and it saves our environment, and we are making them here, so we'll be contributing to developing our economy. This is another example of the multi-sectoral approach to STI. And again, what I'm illustrating comes from all over the fields of focus that I showed you earlier called industrial value chains. So I'm cherry picking to align them to the manifesto promises. So we're still on demonstrating how we have brought people together in order to accomplish a common goal to put science, technology, and innovation products on the market. Take an example of this platform that we established, clinical trials for natural therapeutics. You know we have very good medicines. Mururuza, anyone? Chigaji. Now the challenge is that traditionally we take these as concoctions, isn't it? We take them as concoctions. You don't know whether you need to take 5 mils or a jerrycan. Then you don't know where it is being prepared from. So it could actually be picking up some toxins. So you get short-term relief, but it ends up harming you. But also, you don't know whether it actually works or not. You've heard of placebos? Like you have a headache, yes, you can take Panadol, but just that mental feeling that you've taken something, you're like, and then you wake up fine. You're like, I took medicine and it healed me. When it's actually not the one that healed you. Now, we had never, at the beginning of this manifesto implementation period, we had never taken any of our drugs through a clinical trial. A clinical trial is that scientific process managed by experts where you generate the data that tells you that 1, this drug works, 2, it is safe, and 3, this is how much you need to take for it to work for you. We had never done that. And that's why we set up this platform. So we brought up all the, now it doesn't mean that we are not doing any clinical trials. We were doing clinical trials for products that are made in Europe and the US. We were being used as guinea pigs. I'm sure you've seen our people being used. Oh, we are testing new therapy for HIV in Lakai. Not our drug. We're being used as guinea pigs. If it works, we now become a market. It's not that we're going to benefit otherwise, right? So the advantage of this platform is that now we have built capacity of our scientists. And last month we actually announced the 2 products that have successfully undergone clinical trials to treat respiratory tract infections, including your RSV, including your normal flu, etc. We had 2 products. One was from Busitema University, another one was from Kazire. Most of you are familiar with Kazire. Now, these products, you see, in a clinical trial, you have two arms. Because you're trying to generate data, you're like, I'll give one arm my new product, and another arm I'll give it the standard of care. Maybe a competing syrup, a competing something that's already on the market. And then you collect the data and you're like, the one who took syrup that is made in the US recovered in 5 days. The one who took my syrup recovered in 2 days. And that's exactly what we found, that our medicines were not only safe, but they were more efficacious. They were working better than the imported alternatives. Now, we have now pipelined other medicines. Already we have more than 40 products from our local people. And in fact, if you have some innovators in your regions who have products, send them to us. We'll help them clean them up and take them through clinical trials. If you haven't taken something through a clinical trial, you can't sell it in a pharmacy. You can't export it. So we're trying to generate data that will make our products competitive. So we have more than 40 products in the pipeline. Right now we're starting clinical trials for diabetes, for malaria, and for pain medicine. Then we already have products. Next year we'll start on cancer. We have a lot of claims that people have products that cure cancer, but we don't have evidence for that. So that is where we are with natural therapeutics. I'll skip this in the interest of time. Now, so as far as the manifesto is concerned, here we are already above 90%, but we still have a few loose ends to tie up, and we expect that by the end of the manifesto implementation period, 2025-26 will be at 100%. Now, the next promise is on increasing funding so that our institutions can acquire the relevant infrastructure so that we can start making things en masse. Our progress on, and when I say 75%, it's not just a block figure. It means there are like 10 or 20 indicators behind the scenes that we have looked at and measured where we are, and this is an aggregate. So we are at around 75% now. This is some of the progress we have made. Very high state-of-the-art equipment. I don't want to bother you with the jargon, but our scientists, for the first time in our universities, have the equipment they need to test things. Where previously they had to send their samples to South Africa, to England, now they can do it here. For example, this scanning electron microscope that is at Makerere University that can help us in testing our drugs. This clinical trials unit at Mulago that we have set up. This is the building in Busitema University. Now, the people that I told you that have made that drug, when we started out in 2021, they were working in this funny laboratory in Mbale. You wouldn't even trust anything coming out of it. But now they have a 3-story facility that they are working in. Biobanks. Biobanks means that, let's say you have an outbreak like Ebola, and you want to store samples, biospecimens, blood, mucus, fecal matter, etc., so that you use that to test your drugs, or maybe in future you're able to rely on the same in order to develop any remedies. So now we have that capacity. We have set up biobanks, not only for the contagious diseases, but also we have supported Uganda Cancer Institute to set up a biobank for cancer tissues. And this has helped them to develop the capacity to, one, understand the cancers better. And by the way, there are testimonies now that Uganda Cancer Institute is doing much better. Some people are actually choosing to treat their patients here than take them to India. And this is the capacity that our nation has developed, thanks to the NRM government. We have supported this lab at Mbarara University. It's called the Genomics Lab, state-of-the-art equipment to help us develop drugs, to help us develop vaccines. We have set up this facility at Makerere University, College of Veterinary Medicine. This facility, some of you have heard of the famous mice. Asante sana. Now you have to help our people, because when we talk of mice, some of you think of the corner side mouse, rat. Huh? You cannot use those for testing your drugs, because you see, this is actually this is the pipeline. When you have your drug, like from your natural therapeutic, you first test it in a test tube in cells and you see if it works. Next, you take it to what we call an animal model. It's called an animal model for a reason, because if the step after that is a human, this animal model needs to have some characteristics that mimic a human. For example, a normal rat will not be affected by diabetes, isn't it? Because it doesn't have genetic composition of a human, right? So what you do, you insert a human gene into the rat. So it becomes a special mouse. And those are very expensive. They even cost more than cows, by the way. It can be a lucrative industry. So those are the humanized mice that we're talking about. And we have started even making our own mouse models now for the diseases of interest. So this is the facility that we established at Makerere University. The 2 pairs of mice that we bought, now we have more than 170 of them. We have set up the first, in partnership with the private sector. How many of you are familiar with Alphasan? It used to be popular with veterinary drugs.
I need to make a short announcement.
Okay.
I'm sorry I have interrupted what you think have been highly enjoyed, but it is
Okay. All right, so thank you. So this is a facility that we've put up for manufacturing our vaccines. We are making an anti-tick vaccine from there, and we've started the next phase of clinical trials. These are some of these facilities in Namave. These are some of the facilities that we have there. We've supported Day Biopharma in Matuga. You must have passed by it. It is easily one of Africa's largest largest manufacturing plants for medicines and vaccines. Manufacturing has started. We've started with what we call generic drugs. Now we are going into cancers, vaccines, and many other products. This facility is the only one in the country that has accreditation from the FDA and the European Medical Agency, meaning what we manufacture from there can literally enter anywhere in the global market. And government has acquired shares in this facility, again in line with special strategic interventions by government to partner with the private sector. We have so many vaccines that are in the pipeline. We started with the respiratory tract infections, including COVID. We've moved to Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. We've moved to Rift Valley virus. And because we developed intellectual property, our unique, we call them backbones, we have recently attracted funding of 30 billion from the European Union to develop these last 2 vaccines. And then we have an anti-tick vaccine that has finished the first level of clinical trials, and it's going into the second phase. And then we are supporting another scientist who is working on a vaccine that is dual, meaning it can work for two diseases, lumpy skin disease and foot and mouth disease. And the results are promising so far. He's also entering phase 1 clinical trials. Asante sana! Now, rapid diagnostic kits. I'll just mention one here. You know what diagnostic kits are? We have a scientist who has made a pregnancy test for cattle. Asante sana! It will be on the market within the next 6 months. Ndio. Now, I can't go without saying this. You remember during COVID, the cost of testing was very high for PCR. Then all of a sudden, it went low. If you have taken a COVID test at Platinum Mulago, the test you've used is made by our scientists. Ndio. Now, because we are making this here, the cost of the kit made by our scientists is half that of the imported alternatives. If you do the math, more than 2 million tests have been conducted. If you do the math, we have saved the nation more than 140 billion in what it would have paid in importation. And this is money that can now go into making roads, giving you electricity, etc. And that's why I emphasized import substitution as one of the pillars. You see, you can either make money or you can save what you'd have spent, and then you spend it on other things. And using the same technology, our scientists are now working on kits for other diseases, including HIV and TB. Because our scientists are well tried and tested now, they have also made another test that is used to standardize all TB tests within the African region. So far, it has been used in all these countries that you see shaded yellow, East, Central, and Southern Africa. So that means that people already test. And you know, innovation doesn't lie. If products are of high quality, people will buy them and use them. So, our products are of high quality and people like them. Now we just have to ramp up production. Now, I know coffee is a hot potato. This is another strategic intervention by government, partnering with the private sector to ensure that we develop capacity for value addition to coffee. And the president has been categorical. The NRM government is very emphatic. This is something that we must do. And we must do it without wavering. This is the pilot plant that is coming on in Ntungamo. The line for roasted coffee is complete. And then we are now completing the lines for ground, for instant, for coffee brew, and many other products, including cosmetics. Now, this plant is a pilot plant. I know some people may be saying, why are you putting it here? You see, it's a pilot plant, right? In science, technology, and innovation, we call these Pathfinder projects. If it's something that you've never done, you do not start with putting up 10 of them. This plant will have a capacity of 7,200 tons annually. But you see, that is not even 1% of the coffee that we export. So the goal of government is that once we learn from this, we'll be able to put up other facilities within the region. And in fact, I'll show you that we're actually working with players throughout. This is last mile value addition, but we have intermediate value addition that we are supporting as well. And then recently, we're also supporting a partnership between a company in Saudi Arabia called Ingazi Group with another company here called Nonda Commodities. They are bringing in more than $100 million to set up a plant which will have capacity of more than 100 tons per day. And the vice president is supposed to travel to Saudi Arabia very soon to make the groundwork, and the president will go in soon after to ensure that we close this deal. Asante sana. Now, this is the spread of the coffee players that we are supporting. We have people we are supporting in Queen, Masha Holdings, Chigeze Sub-Region, Kanungo, Mukazi wa Mutima, Ankole, Lubanga Cooperative in Mituma, of course Inspire Africa Coffee in Ntungamo. In the Toro Rwenzori region, we have presence there, Great Lakes Coffee. In the Central region, Funzo Coffee and the Nonda Commodities. Now these are the bigger players, but you see, what we're aiming at is you build this consortium of players that are able to now to undertake all stages of value addition. So you have the farmers' cooperatives who now feed the primary processors. Primary processors can feed tertiary processors if necessary, and then you have last mile value addition. You can have a few players at the top layer, but as you go downstream, the industry gets organized. Now, why do we focus on coffee? We did the Chibaro without wasting your time. We found that, and I talked about the scientific process, we found that it is actually more profitable for you to nurture and sell coffee seedlings than sell red cherry, than be a farmer and sell red cherry. This is the thing about our people. Because we don't do the math, you're like, I have my 10 acres of land, you don't cost the land. You say it's already mine, okay, but it's a factor of production. You're supposed to cost it, you're supposed to be like, so if, assume that you're actually buying that or renting it out, leasing it out, how much would you be paying? Then you wake up every morning and go into the garden. You're not costing your labor. Now, when you're putting in fertilizer, you don't count what you're putting in, right? So when you harvest 6 months later and you get 3,000 per kilo, for you, you think that is income, eh? Huh? But if you counted everything you have put in from the start, you'd actually be in a net loss. So we did the math and found that the only way we get out of this pit is if we go up to at least roasted coffee. Not red cherry, not chiboko, not FAQ, not green coffee. But you see, people out there, your German friends, your Italian friends, would want you to stay here. Because every industry thrives on a cheap source of raw material. So they want you to keep supplying them raw material. It's the game. So even these fights you hear about, we shouldn't add value to coffee, don't be surprised that those could be foreign interests at play. And as patriots, we must not listen. We must not allow that. Now, we are adding value to our banana. This is a project that has been around for a while, but we are streamlining it so that it's making impact. Previously, it had capacity of 14 metric tons input per day. We are just finishing the lines now for full automation so that we have 140 metric tons per day of input, and so that we're able to take on more bananas from our people. We already have many value-added products. You know, banana flour, it's a uniquely Ugandan product. Banana flour is gluten-free, it has resistant starch, and we recently learned that it contains a chemical called the tryptophan. Those of you who know a bit of biology, when you eat anything that contains tryptophan, it's converted into a happiness hormone called serotonin. So that is why Ugandans are very happy, because we eat a lot of bananas. Now we want to export that value-added happiness to the world. So these are some of the products. We've already found that banana flour can replace up to 60% wheat in bread. So we have banana products on your shelves. Please buy them. And we are already exporting these. Interestingly, we found that someone in South Korea is importing our banana flour and using it in baby foods. Baby foods which cost 10 times more than the flour that they are buying. Now, again, infrastructure, This, you may have seen it if you've taken the western route, Rebitete, after Lyantonde. We are calling this the Engineering Development and Innovation Center. It has the best engineering equipment within the nation, including precision machinery. So we're calling this the Law Development Center, RDC of engineering. You see, engineers have not had this chance of additional skilling, retooling, so that they become industrial scientists. This is what this is going to cure. Technology incubation, engineering services, rapid prototyping. So if you have done your prototyping endeavor and now you want to put a bit of finesse in it, you come here. Or you come as a group and say, we have this idea, we want to incubate it. You come here. Now the contractor is about to hand over this facility. We are already working on the systems to operationalize it. And within 2 months, we should be opening doors. And you're going to be seeing a call to the public for people to come and make use of this facility. I want us to encourage our people to make use of this facility, this opportunity. Uganda Industrial Research Institute, you're aware, the construction of the center in Namave started a little bit before the Manifesto implementation period, but completion and commissioning happened within the Manifesto implementation period. And we have a lot of capacity here as well. And then in aeronautics and space at Impoma, we had, right, we were there. Yes. Were you with us? Yes. So we just broke ground on what we call the Biosciences Park. We have 152 acres of land in Katugo. We are going to put a Biosciences Park, the nation's one-stop center, that brings everything we are working on in the pathogen economy together. Pilot manufacturing facilities for vaccines, for therapeutics, testing facilities for our drugs, and a human capital development institute, and many other amenities. So people of Nakasongola, make sure that you make use of this facility and take advantage of the opportunities, both in its construction, but also ultimately when it is operationalized. I'll skip this, but this is a facility that we are also setting up. It is going to help us to discover novel for solar energy, but of course you can't, because the market was trapped, and some of our people in the private sector like parroting interests that are not our own. So there was no entry point. But now that government is fully in charge, we have the leeway to ensure that if we can make it here, we don't do what? We don't import. So I can categorically tell you that we can make a smart meter just by modifying the meters we have already made in less than a month. And it will be the highest quality meter that you have ever seen. Asante sana! So, you see the processes that your people go through. We are making calculators. We are making smart drives. We are making hair dryers. Some of these things you just start with the reverse engineering to demonstrate capacity. So they may not be novel, but the skills you learn can now help you to bring novel products to life. It is your children who are doing this, and we've already created more than 400 high-quality jobs in this area. I've been warned about time. We are making 3D printers. We have supported incubation of so many products in the honey value chain, in the cosmetics value chain, etc. I can't go without, even if this is the last thing I talk about, Chiller Vehicle Plant. I had a video, but it's not going to play. How many of you have been to Chiller Vehicle Plant? Anyone? Those of you who have not, Director, maybe we should organize a trip for our leaders to go and appreciate this magnificent infrastructure. Asante sana! Chiller Vehicle Plant is in Mutahi village, in Mutahi, yes. Yes. Yeah, the Ginger Investment Business Park, right? Yes. So it sits on 80 acres of land. It is Africa's largest and most competent vehicle manufacturing plant. Asante sana. Yes, so we have 2,500 vehicles now, but we are soon ramping up to 5,000 in the medium term. We acquired what we call a VIN, a vehicle identification number, meaning that we can say that this is a Ugandan-made vehicle and it is traceable throughout the world. That is monumental. Now, you have seen some of the vehicles on the road. Most of them are electric. This Kayola city bus, that's how it looks. How many of you have been inside the Kayola buses? Very good. At least you have had first-hand experience. Our products are the best in class. Not just in Africa, but throughout the world. Now, to create offtake, we have gone a step further. Chira Motors has started a subsidiary called eBus Express. eBus Express has started a pilot in Jinja to test out a model for public transport. How many of you have seen these green buses on the road? Right. Jinja, Iganga, Jinja Mbiko. These are electric buses made by Uganda. Now, the beauty about this is that buses throughout the country. Now, each city on average, you see, small cities will need about 30 units. Some big cities will need more than 100. If we are able to pull this off, this is already good market for our buses. But you see, the beauty of this is it's going to run in a franchise model. It is for finance, so that we're able to pull that off. Okay, as I conclude, again, you're familiar with this? The royal cat, the wedding of the Chawazinga. The cat was made by our boys at Chira Motors Corporation. Now, lastly, I'll talk about the Innovation Fund. You see, I've been talking about the big projects, but the Innovation Fund is our flexible funding mechanism for innovators that are just starting out or that are still on a low scale. And every year we advertise and call upon people to compete, and they go through the process. Because of limited resources, like last year, 1,000 applied and we've only been able to take on about 60. But the point is, this is your democratic fund for supporting innovators in your region. So you see where the circles are: Moni University, Gulu University, Dira University. We can talk about the universities, but there's also private sector players, Bositema University, Kabale, Mbarara. So the universities are easier to mention, but we also have private sector players in all these regions. How many of us know anyone who is benefiting from the Innovation Fund? Anyone? No? You do? Yes, Dr. Lamaka. She's working on natural therapeutics. So we have more than 130 of those throughout the country. And they are at various stages of the idea to market journey. Now, I'll just pick one. You see this? This is Productivity Acceleration Bureau. Just to give you an insight, this is just one bureau out of 8. In the recent call, we had about 300 applications. You see, most of the applications still come from the central region, eastern, northern, western, and then, how many of us are from Karamoja? Leaders from Karamoja? I think we need to sit on a table and talk so that we see how to create special interventions for our people so that they benefit from this fund. We are already supporting one from Karamoja Ethno-Veterinary. But he's making acaricides from neem tree. But the representation is not very good. For example, we did not have any applicant. And once we don't have any applicant, then we don't have where to choose from. So we will need to sit and see how we can encourage our people and support them to benefit from this fund. Yes? Yes, now Jenna is separate. It's not from Innovation Fund, but we're also supporting them to set up a pilot plant in Soroti Industrial Park, and also to take Covidex through clinical trials. We're also supporting them. And again, because of time, I wish I had 10 hours, would talk about everything, so I'm just cherry picking. So these are some of the things from Innovation Fund. You see this three-in-one trike that can pump water, generate electricity, carry 1 ton, was actually made by our boys in Katwe. It has an engine that is made in Uganda, designed and made in Uganda. Asante sana. So you see, His Excellency actually launched it in 2023. So again, I think I'll skip this. Just 3 minutes, I conclude, sir. This product is very important. If those of you who want to invest, Pombe Guard, you know what Pombe means? Pombe is alcohol, eh? Pombe Guard means you can drink your 10 bottles of whiskey, and then you take 2 drops of Pombe Guard, and you wake up very okay. Yes. That is that is Pombe Guard. Now, again, we are doing a lot. We are doing a lot. We don't have enough time to talk about it, but I will now go to the conclusion. I'll now go to the conclusion. 1, throughout this learning period that we've gone through over the past 3 years, we know what works and what doesn't. We have already created impact, as I showed you, created more than 70,000 jobs, attracted more than 3.4 trillion of investment, not money from government, more than 5,000 specialized human capital development. We have established infrastructure, and we continue to do that. We have a lot of products that are in the pipeline, and we have developed a strategy that is going to ensure that our nation leverages science, technology, and innovation to get to what we call the promised land. Because without it, nothing else is going to move. In terms of manifesto implementation, on the 9 promises, right now, as far as the target for this year, we are on 81%, but overall, we are at 71%. And we promised the director that come next year, at the end of the manifesto implementation period, we will be at more than 80%. So, as I conclude, I want to seek for your support and advocacy and participation. I hope we can have another forum where we dissect some of these things even more, so that you see where you locate yourself and where our people locate themselves. But we are confident that with science, technology, and innovation, with His Excellency as the main champion, our nation will reach the promised land of the 550 billion GDP by 2040. I thank you.
Can I request everybody who is outside to enter here, or we regard him as a non-participant? The whips, can you please communicate? We have the Minister for Presidency here, and everybody should be in here. Can every process that is going on anywhere outside this classroom stop until we conclude this activity? This is also a special announcement. All of you, before you leave, this is your pass, your gate pass. And it will be got when you have handed over the store as has been guided. You will find it at your areas of residence. Are we clear? Yes, are we clear? Yes, thank you. Let's put our hands together for our scientists, one of the celebrated scientists in this country who has taken us through this very beautiful journey of how science is transforming this country. Asante sana. No, this is not the way, it does not match the kind of knowledge and information you have received here, which is supposed to take this country forward. Asante sana. Ongeza tena. Olowooza we tutuuse Uganda tetandise okuwooma? So many of you may not have known even why the Science Ministry was created, the journey we have been on as far as science is concerned. So don't talk like villagers. Go and assure the citizens that the country is on the right path, not the other one, but the other one of science, where in the future is very bright for us and our children, or for those who will be there. Are we together? Yes, sir. You have seen the various interventions, the various investments the country has made. Sooner or later, we shall also be proudly saying, manufactured, made in Uganda, you know, as our children also enjoy this society. Are we together? So science sector, asante sana. Our Excellency the President, we want to thank you for this innovation and being foresighted and being able to realize how science can transform our society, can also support our transformation journey. So, asante sana, President. Ndio. Ongeza sana. Ndio zaidi. Allow me now. That's why I want everybody to be in the room. Nyakisiki, all the people in the room, especially participants. This is not a request. Everybody who is a participant must be here because the activity we are going on is very, very critical. But on behalf of the team that has been here organizing, allow me to welcome our State Minister for Kampala, who has represented our Minister for Presidency to officiate on the closure of this retreat. The Minister will perform this activity because he has many other commitments. He has many other commitments, but as he leaves for us, we shall continue and conclude. Are we together? Yes, sir. So the minister's business does not stop continuity of business of the program. I thought that one I would be clear, so that when he leaves and then all of you move out, no, we are still here where there are so many issues we need to conclude, and then we, you know, the invitation was purposeful, and we must make sure that our mission is fulfilled. Are we together? Yes, sir. So, Honorable Minister, Director Nari, Brigadier General from OWC, I take pleasure to welcome you to Nari, where on your behalf, as a department, convened this retreat of our leaders. As you are aware, we invited deputy RDCs across the country. We also invited our district NRM chairpersons. And in my concept paper to your office, Honorable Minister, I was very intentional. And I have communicated it here that it was very important for us as the entity, the Office of the President, which supervises the implementation of the manifesto. We need to make sure that we share with our key stakeholders on how far we have gone on this journey. So it's again at that spirit that the concept was cleared and we came here. We have had these 4 days here with these members, and it has been a very interesting engagement. I will say that the conversation that we have had here in the various topics that have been presented has been very, very interesting. Honorable Minister, you are aware that we decided to invite all the technical people across government, in ministries, departments, and agencies to come and share with these stakeholders of ours on how far each of the different commitments in the different sectors that they supervise and execute can be able to tell us how far we have gone. And I want to say that all those who have been here so far have been able to deliver that successfully, including the celebrated scientist from STI this morning. And we are very grateful as organizers that those people have been able to come and share this knowledge. Honorable Minister, in addition to that, is that this audience has also been a very good forum to validate the information that has come from the center. And through this kind of a conversation, I believe by the time these members leave here, everybody will be in a state of a more informed status, and they can be able to deliver the message that has been gained from here with confidence. First of all, our RDCs, you know, they are responsible for monitoring the execution and implementation of these interventions as has been communicated. Secondly, the party chairpersons are the owners of the contract that we did with Ugandans. So there was also party accountability, as those of us who are in the government were also accounting to the party owners that this is how far the government has gone. And I want to assure you that all this has been able to be delivered on very well. On behalf also of the team which has been here, I want to bring our appreciation to NARI, which has hosted us all these days. We have been able to have a smooth sail. We have not registered any clash with them, and I will say that all the team here has been able to be clear on what I would call the rules of engagement. And so we have not had any crashes. We no longer have people who are to face disciplinary courts. So we are happy that NARI received us very well and has been able to treat us well in the circumstances that could be offered. On that note, I want to thank the Director NARI. I want to thank the team that he has worked with for the kind of support and the environment they have created for us that we have enjoyed in these 5 days. Lastly, Honorable Minister, I also want to extend my gratitude to the team that I work with, which I came with from the Manifesto Implementation Unit, which has supported me in this cause to make sure that we live to the intentions that you assigned us here. I also want to thank the team from the RDC secretariat that came and joined us and supported us in the way you assigned us here. Lastly, Honorable Minister, I am convinced that we have been able to achieve more than 98% of the assignment. So I want to thank you, the participants. I want to thank you, the teams that I have worked with. I want to thank you, Honorable Minister, for the conducive environment. And I think now we can close well knowing that these participants will go and live to the intentions of why they were brought here. With those many remarks, allow me to end here, and I will be inviting the Director NARI to close this retreat. Asante sana.
Ndio, ndio, ndio.
Ongeza tena.
Ndio, ndio, ndio.
There is no life there. Simama juu. Simama juu. And you know simama juu is like when we are also saying cause. So when we say simama juu, you don't start bargaining with your body. When they say simama juu, you just moja. Actually, you should say moja. Simama juu? Moja. Cause? Moja. Very good. Now, let's welcome the minister. Karibu sana.
Ndio.
Secondly, let's thank Nari for our fruitful stay here. Asante sana.
Ndio.
Let's thank all the resource persons that have come here and shared knowledge, and those who are still coming who will share with us knowledge as we live. Asante sana.
Ndio.
Let's thank all the teams that have come from the headquarters that have been helping us in facilitating the course up to its conclusion. Asante sana.
Ndio.
And lastly, let's thank ourselves, the participants, for being a very, very wonderful class. Asante sana.
Ndio.
Ongeza tena.
Ndio.
Thank you very much. Take your seat. So, allow me to welcome you, Kano, too.
The Deputy Coordinator, Operation Wealth Creation, the Minister is Honorable Chofa. What's the other name? Chofa Togabye. Let's thank him for coming. Asante sana. Ndio sana. And the coordinator is none other than Brigadier General Mwanguzi, who was with us last evening. We have to also recognize and thank Director Manifesto Monitoring and Implementation. We recognize you, eminent scientist who is in our midst, Deputy Director Monitoring, the commissioners who are here, Acting Deputy Director Nari, who is head of faculty and academics, and I'm in trouble if I don't mention my commander, the RDCs and the chairman who are here. Let's rise and sing our song. Simba anatembea msituni, Simba anatembea msituni, Simba mzuri, Simba mkali, Simba mzee.
Simba
The mighty who? Yes. The mighty who? Yes. You are the mighty symbol of the great movement who moved the unmovable under the command of the great General Hemba Ogonjura. Asante sana. Ndio ongeza kabisa. Honorable Minister Sam, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, in your respective statuses or status. Is it status or status? Great. We are saying we have to learn and have a great command of the Swahili language as one of the means and ways of consolidating our national independence, increasing our national unity, so that we can continue to move our assembly strongly forward. Honorable Minister, the evidence is before you. Top morale, which they call vibe. Each of these lions before you, Minister, our lion chief guest, is a vibe master. And we are all ready and committed to transform and convert the vibe into action that brings victory. As they will inform you, and you are already in the know, 1 year from now, these great generals will report great victory. We who put on this uniform under the great command of the great Simba, General Yoweri Museveni, and the great Simba, Chief of Defense Forces, General M.K. Muhoozi Kainerugaba. We thank you, General M.K. Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the Chief of Defense Forces. Asante sana. Ndio sana. Commanding Chief General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Ruhembo Gonjura, Nyabgenje n'Obwenje bwe, Rwitabagoni. Asante sana. Ndio sana. So you can see the morale. These are generals ready to act, to command the revolutionary wars that lie ahead of us and bring certain victory. Because ours is a victorious country. And we in the UPDF, we thank you because you've continuously given us a commander-in-chief who is the chief lion on this continent. You can't dispute it because lion activities performed successfully are evident for all. Mpigie makofi Ndio. Ndio sana. We thank you, Minister, Director, Manifesto, and you distinguished audience for choosing the National Leadership Institute, which is the ideological maker of our great revolution, as your venue for this retreat. And we know, because when you came, this was not the level of vibe you had. Now, the vibe you had has been increased more than 1,000,000-fold. And it is because you've conducted your retreat with the great revolutionary spirit of open criticism, self-criticism, all being underpinned by the great spirit of patriotism, which you have showed when you were here. I take this opportunity to thank all the great facilitators from the MDAs, from the secretariat, including the general himself, the secretary general himself, and from the UPDF, the generals who have come here and shared insights with you, our own National Leadership Institute staff, including the Maiteniaks whom you've fallen in love with. I hope you don't take her away. But we've also fallen in love with all of you, our ladies. Ndio sana. This is going to become a center for research, enhanced teaching, and enhanced ideological activity. And those who will transform this institute from its great heights where it is to even greater heights are you, because it belongs to you. With all those remarks, which cannot thank you ably enough, I have, as usual, the pressure from you, our audience, who want to listen to our distinguished guest of honor. I have that pressure and pleasure and honor to welcome him. Honorable Minister Sir, the audience can't wait anymore to have you. And with the director's permission, I say we stand up and we all of us usher the minister in. Ndio. Viva! 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 Ndio. Iya.
the deputy coordinator, is this neutralized? Brigadier General Mwanguzi, our director of Manifesto, and the whole team from the President's office. I thought we didn't have Simba hapa, like now I've seen the director, Nali, and your team. We have the true revolutionaries here. So I recognize the teams from headquarters who came to support you and share with you. They didn't come to teach you. They just came to support you, share with you what they know. Then you, I think, and I believe you share. Because I also need to tell you I'm the de facto state minister for science and technology. But I only take on the Rugambo part. The technicals, I leave it. And I always tell people, you are coming to me, come for Rugambo. We shall be able to talk the sevenomics in the Rugambo of science and technology. The other things, go to Dr. Msenel. I don't understand them. But in a special way, allow me, I was so excited when I visited the director's office, and I signed after my uncle, who is here with you. You know him? Now you know. Those who know him, then it's okay. If you don't know him, pay me. Later pesa, and then you. No, not corruption. Working. But allow me to recognize my uncle, Uncle Zaire, for being with us here. I said, Sana, for sparing time, and you came to join us. My district chairpersons, NRM, I also want to become selfish. I've seen mine from Nakaseke, I've not seen one from Kampala. Where are you? Niko na moja huko. Alice Uhuru will be here. Then I've also seen my father from Kayunga, Nabula. Yekuye siri. Iwama. Nakaseke, yes. No, Kayunga. Okay. But anyway, you have something in his place. From here, I'm running there. A bit of sprain. Having officiated the function, then I went to hand over a cow. You know me, I'm not a cow man. The cow just came and lifted me up. And I hate cows, by the way. But this time around, I thought I could be strong enough. The thing just lifted me up. So I got problems down there. I left the hospital at midnight, and the director was on my neck. I must be here. You know, these people we stay with, she wanted to show me a lot of love, saying, how can you go? Which shoes? I said, I have my field shoes. Give me those ones. The revolutionary shoes, they will understand me. Then what? I said, don't worry, I'm not going to put on a suit. I just need to put on something yellowish and white so that everyone can see me. You see? I put up also excuses so that I can come here. Katindi one, okay? So, the most important thing are going to be two. One is to take this, including the nice air to breathe in, not the contaminated ones of Kampala. Kampala's air contamination is at the rate of 50 milligrams, how do you call them, micrograms, something. So which is really very dangerous. It's way above the 5 acceptable. So when you come to Nali, you have again the 0, so that you can enjoy what God gave Uganda. Now, the gist why you here, you as leaders, I don't want to call you local leaders, because you as leaders, I don't want to call you local leaders, because all of you are appointed by the center, so you are our own at the center. You are appointed by the center, so you are our own at the center. But of course, of securing Uganda's future. You, since one neteze, already we've seen this confusion, okay? Take our category, neteze jangu. Come. We all know this. We all know him. Yes. Have you ever seen him? Yes. What is his name? Now come. Just feel free, but make sure you leave a distance a bit, because you may cause the minister to fail. Which hand is this? Now, I want somebody else to have another mic and ask a simple question. Director, foreign, for us, get a mic. Get a mic. And you're going to ask us one question. Which side, by show of hand, where Brigadier Mwangu's seated? Then by show of hand, we respond. And then you're going to become? Thank you. Ask the same question to me, the same question to her. But start with her, at least.
Okay, participant,
Yes, sir.
which position is Brigadier General seated?
Which side?
Which side?
By show of your hand.
By show of your hand, Brigadier General is seated.
Brigadier General.
By show of your hand.
I show you.
You raise it. Which side is that?
Left hand side.
Is she right? That's another question I want to ask.
Honorable Minister, which side is the Brigadier General seated? By show of your hand.
On my right hand side. Am I right?
Yes.
All of us we are? Are we right or wrong? Because we are right, just like a Chinuma Achebe said, man sees sunlight from his own. Where you are seated, you see sunlight. No, Badu. Now you see, for her, is here. And she's right, just show you one. Or she's right, I don't know. Even me, I think I'm. Now, is this how you want the government to run? This one is here, another one is this one is this way. So this is how it is. Cut face the other side. Me, I also face this side. Now, why facilitate you? Repeat the same questions. Now you're going to change again.
So participant can say which side is Brigadier General seated? By show of your hand.
Right hand side.
So Honorable Minister.
Is she right?
Yes.
You said you are judges.
Yes.
So Honorable Minister, which side is Brigadier General seated? By show of your hand.
Which hand is this? Are we there?
Yes.
Now these are the things we've been grappling with. So as leaders, you have to go down, disseminate the same information, work around the clock, change. Change the community, teach them, orient them until when we shall reach. That's why you came to Nari, okay? So after fighting and everyone is now, wait, subiri. After fighting and everything, everyone is cooked and turns the head and security, this way, everywhere, we shall have a common. And this is now the common. We've rotated. You rotated. Don't worry. Mpola. She's rotating. I'm also rotating. You are now training. You are coming to Nari. We say, please go. Some of you dodge. We say, no, come back. See how things are moving. Are you seeing that? Then eventually, life my. And we say, you get what you say? Amazing. So now at this juncture, refreshments have been done, trainings have impacted in you. The community have been so patient with them. You've listened to them. That is the time you feel like, yes, now we are securing our. That's why I'm telling you now. We are still having that confusion. Go back at 2026. Again, we rotate. So that we have that future with our commander somewhere. These are the things he's dying with. It's the things he tells us during the Bagamba. So at this juncture, no, first, ask the question and see.
Which side is the general seated by show of your hand?
The right hand side.
She's right? Mumukubereko mu ngalo.
Honorable Minister, which side is general seated by show of your hand?
My right hand side.
Is he right? Yes. Asante sana.
Please go. Now, this is the reason why we say you people come here, so that we stop seeing number 6, number 9, but now we recognize the same numbers. So that we can now have number 6 to be number 9, but in the actual sense, this is 6, then this is 9. Because you have a plan towards that particular number or target. And this is what actually Muzei tells you. When you talk about the socio-economic transformation programs, this one, that one, actually I'm going to differentiate these things and then I go. Mixing up things, looking at this, how do we help the community to refocus? So that you don't call that number B, you don't call it 9, but we can say now there's a difference between number 6 and number 9. Can we differentiate this? When you reach this point, then you've secured your, and the future is secured for Uganda. Now, while doing all this, in all areas you are coming from, the so-called developments you people you're talking about, with all the population and everything, you still have a problem. But I think I will come back on this one. In Kampala, I don't want to bring Kampala's issues now, it will bore you. But when you reach at this level, the government has come up with clear manifesto, how do you call them? Commitments, areas. Now when we say, look at the areas, don't look at the manifesto as the whole Bible, because none of us can read the whole Bible from Genesis to, or from Quran. You know the surah is called what? Baqarah, the first surah up to the last. You can't. But every Sunday they pick up a few things and say, today we are going to learn about this. Today, okay, you know that one, that I'm a Catholic, right? And today we are looking at how humanity and God is forgiveness. The story of Genesis, where Joseph, by the way I'm called Joseph, was sold by his brothers in Egypt, not knowing they are opening a gate for him again to come back and rescue him. You remember how people rejected the President himself in those days of 60s, this younger boy of Kaguta disturbing us, not knowing they are throwing away the stone which will be used to fix the cornerstone. So what you are seeing, when you talk of the parish development model, and this is where actually, even if I end there, at least I would be convinced that you people, you've picked something. The parish development model has some bit of confusion, and then we think the whole manifesto of NRM is on the parish development what? You know, it has how many pillars? Those are areas of execution. Then the 7 components is a ziri mu parish development model. Mwami Luchamuzi. See you alime tiwachi mufanagana. Nera byonna bibamu bambala yero. Now, Mwami Luchamuzi Machindi. In fact, I wanted you, the one of Machindi, where there is a lot of confusion. Kawempalwa. Oh, now, Pastor, the PDM for us Here, we are saying there are 7 areas which we need to address. But all the 7 areas, and this is now Muzee's message these days, that's why mumulaba atambula, tatambula nti ayagala nnyo kutambula. Atambula kubanga Uganda tulemeddwa okumuyambako. We've failed to pick his ideas and then we disseminate them quickly to enable our dad, our father, our jaja to rest. Here, you're saying, what are the key issues? Is this socioeconomic? I don't know which social you use. I don't know if you are using O or what? Transformation. So we use O. Now, tulina okwawula this one, which is household wealth creation. Muzaawule from what? From enkulaakulana. Over developments. I'm happy when I came here. Oh, there's a lot of developments taking place, including this auditorium. What? This is development, which is okay. But when you are in our areas, twawule wano. Kampala, it might be a bit tricky for you not supposed. Kampala, Luchamuzi, Alinaitwe, mutemumala biseera nga mu concentrating ku this one. Hinkula kuna Nigeria. Because of embeera, time and so on, there is free water, there is money, what, electricity, tegali bulwamu, enguudo, muntawanya, now tuzizimba. That is enkulaakulana. So everything you see, schools, health centers, roads. Omanyi, when you speak of a road in Nakaseke, that's a miracle. When you're talking of a road in Kampala, so what? Because sense? That is electricity, power, etc. These are developments. But why Muzee is trying to simplify? So my argument with you, go and simplify parish development model. Don't focus on the 6 pillars. Maybe focus on 2, mobilization, I think pillar number 5. Then focus on pillar number 3. Because these others, Bija, some of them are just by osmosis, I mean by what? Instincts. And when something is done, something must be put in place. So these ones, so they are enablers. Enablers to wealth creation. I always ask people, mwali mulabyeke mwanyegana okulima because oluguudo olugende Bulamazi lufu. You know I come from Bulamazi. In Chito sub-county, deep Nakase. Oyinza okugana osimba emmwanyi ewuwo ne zigana okukula emyaka 3. That is. But after emmwanyi ezo nga zikuze, ekiddako kiki? Of course you will require to transport coffee, right? Then a road becomes an issue. Ewaffe ewa Kyato, chairman wange gyava mulabyeko. Chairman wange wa movement yalo. Ewaffe ewa Kyato, ente teziganangako kugenda kola ki? Kulya. Because oluguudo lw'ekiswaga lufu. Zaali ziganyeko. But when you reach a certain point, you want to sell milk. That's when a road becomes an issue. But those are 2 years of planning. Can you first put up production? Then you get to lecture. But you people together, and everyone is like, whoa. And that's why I'm happy. I'm going to leave you here with General Damulira. I mean, General who? Muwanguzi, who has been a commander of these things of wealth creation for now almost 12 years, since 2013. Kati our role in PDM, let's concentrate on parish, on pillar number 3. Government sends money everywhere, roads will be done, schools will be built, just to enable, to create capital, human capital, to empower human capital, skill it. Make at Osanga RDC spending a lot of time ayombagana or here's okusomesa parish development model. You are off, wasting a lot of time explaining utopism to people. Stop, come out of those planes. Muri mufuti ya milioni asatu 30,000 feet bemogera mbaliku ground. When I go there to speak, everyone is saying, "Nigwe bitu obyogerachi, obingagwe bitu biba byangu okutegera." No, simple logic. Do I need wealth creation? Do I need household wealth? Do I need roads never sees there, and then the district could plan for it, or I will force the district to do a road. Where I come from, I met waliwo gudolari tute emyaka makumi aga nga they are not maintaining it. Then government did a low cost seal 5 kilometers on that road. Nebaleka 15 kilometers. Na mpompogoma za walumbe, but I was distributing coffee. Namba bantu mulime kubi. Kati minister, tetuchatwala mwanyi zaffe koze, don't worry. After when I did that, nenda bakunga abantu ba visiting, they can't actually transport, baba sera amatoke gabwe. I said, okay. I went somewhere, I looked for some resources, and the 15 kilometers were fixed. Kati, do you know what they are doing there? Chofa manyo yo mwana wafe mkozi nyo, lugudo ya fixinga lugambo. The other day nakutongo nemba gamba, now I don't want to find any youth around this road. You go to the gardens. I'm now forcefully giving them coffee, plant it, I want to see it. Because whereas it's not on the road, never to never when good tamak. When I used this road, I drove on the janda obugaga kurugudo up to Bukwiri. Buria obutisanyo. Is there something there? You start seeing bugaga in between here on a tamaka, I mean on a Maram road. Well, the moment you branch Bukwiri, that's when you start seeing real money. Erituli kurugambo, butunguru, nyanya, and we waste time. So members, this is my argument with you. Please go and ensure we simplify our messages. That's how now here, science is waiting for you to come and add value. Science is waiting for you to come and add value. So the entire Musevenomics, some of us who are students of Musevenomics, is just enclosed here. Let's first deal with the economy at household level, then we shall see other things. Schools have been opened. People have gone to school. These days, you know, it is a public choice. It's a personal choice. Either you go to school or you leave school. Because there is free education from all the way from P1 up to the university. The president will educate you. And that's how generous Museveni can be. But in the head, Bogamba gukomye wano, you go. So those things are already in place. So lastly, like I said, please help me and do that. Secondly, the major message here is desist from creating conflicts with the population. Because once you did, the population will not listen to you. Once you create conflict with the population, land grabbing. Some of you RDCs are typically known. You are the chief land grabbers in the districts. Am I right? My chairman will tell you. My chairman, am I right? Actually, the chairman will tell you, oh, why enough by the time we reach the RDC's office, the man is in bed with the land grabber. Because they have promised you to kidogo, sindio? So please, these are the things you shouldn't participate in. Every time you participate in anything which brings tears to a community, you are injuring the mission of His Excellency the President. Some of us will live a happy life because I don't have any ruyombo with anybody. You can't hear, these ones know me. You can't hear in Nakaseke or in Kampala that in participate is anything concerned people's land. I only go to mediate, I pull out. By the way, how much land are you going to die with? Hey, only to, our seniors told me 2 square meters. Then what are you dying for? Stop dying. I have 3 lands in different locations. The other day I was telling my wife, please sell off that land. You've spent how many years without going there? 8 years. Because are you normal? That means that land is not for you to use. Because it's very far. The other day I have my calendar in Butalangu, I met people nga betuzaako 5 years nga simanyi. Kuze tyatubadde tulikuuma kuze who gave you authority tukukuma maitaka. Kuze please buli omu agende, and I ended up paying them by the way. Kale transport kwata go. Let me plant trees there. So all this land we are dying for injures the reputation of His Excellency the President. Just know, because you are the President, one day I went to Kagadi, I think Kagadi. Is the person from Kagadi here? Do you know how they address him? Government. For them, the moment they see the RDC, yes, my senior, my commissioner, they say government has come. Now imagine the government to go and then you start grabbing land. You had government to go and start injuring the communities. How should it be government? Then the people wait. Imagine the RDC were there and the people are waiting for the president to come the day we reach Nakaseke, Kagadi, Butebo to address the land problem. And yet you have all the powers because you went into bed with. And you know when somebody takes some of the goods, you people avoid the 10,000 those people give us. 5 million. Oh. Very tempting. That's why I'm a minister of the wealthiest part of the country, but I'm the poorest one. And very comfortable. Because my people in Nakaseke, they don't blame me on that. Because the mission is clear. Always have 10-year plans, 20 and so on. We have a mission to secure our future. We are not going to secure it in this Chisanja, no, never in the next Chisanja, neither in the other Chisanja. And that's why sometimes I tell people, I'm Kabuye Chofa, the Minister of Tibuhaburwa, who is serving his first term, waiting for the next 8 years. 80 terms, I mean. They know that. And this one is in Kampala, they first told me, don't say that, but just to go. Because, banange nze Kabuye Chofa, Minister wa Tibuhaburwa, ali mu kisanja ekisooka, ekiddirira omunaana ebikola ki? Because the government is here. We are here. Don't worry who, but we are what? After all, you people from Central here, mumanyi the other kasongo. Lubale bwali kutali kwato muki? And Lubale cannot make a mistake now again to a foreigner. Again the Lubale goes to the family. You can't find, for instance, me. You can't find my Lubale going to, what's your name? Aliho. No. Now this boy of mine disappeared. Director, can you imagine? This boy of mine from Ngoma disappeared. My Lubale will always go, hey, to another Kabuye. So don't worry, no, we are here. So the only way, because we are here, let's do the right things. Avoid the conflict now with the people. Avoid creating conflict with our wananchi. You will really be secured. Then lastly, on this matter, RDCs, stay simple. Some of you, because you are guarded by uniformed men, By the way, I work with policemen. And in most cases, I tell them, police be, and we go to people. Oh, whoa, the army has entered. UPDF, please. Who is more richer than Museveni here? Among us here. Sigamba, the country has got to rich people. But who is more richer than Musei? Among us here. Who has the most power than him? Do you know what is called the fountain of what? Honor. Who among you has a title, the fountain of honor? Not even the fountain of the... Why is it the fountain of honor? Humbles himself, listen to the poor, listen to the rich, listen to... Why is it? Why can't we copy that? You know, when you listen to people, I don't say you go and be with them, be like them, but be with them. Listen, because they will bring you all uchafu, toa uchafu, take the clean. Isn't it? And move on. So listen to this wananchi banange. You are killing your own government because tetwagala kuwuliriza bananchi. You have no time. You go to RDC. By the way, sometimes I go to RDC's offices. You know me, I always move incognito. And sometimes I laugh. I sit for 30 minutes, RDC tell you. Over there I say, are you busy? And you enter the RDCs reading newspapers. And making a few calls. I asked one of the RDCs, I will not mention him, that now you think you and me, who has the most frequent calls in a day? But sometimes, well, give a schedule and say, please, tomorrow I'm here. The other day, who is from Luwero? Where is Katabas? I think I know you. Where you go? Luwero is around? I will not say any. Maybe I reserve the words I was going to tell you. But you people try to pick some examples from your colleagues. When you go to Luwero, because the leadership, the elected leadership is in opposition, I think all the wananchi of Luwero, the whole Luwero district, has turned the office of the RDC to be there. There is the RC5, is everything. Is one district you can go to, and actually you get ashamed for you to stay there 10 minutes. Because when each are seated everywhere, and I was like, Mr. Charadis, Chichi, he's solving land issues, he's solving marriage issues, he's solving all the issues in leadership in the village. Wow! Especially you people who are coming from districts where we have hostility. You must now be more open, so that people can reach you. Remember, for them, byali byakwebereremu twali twebereremu kati nawe go kola ki the opposite webere. The thing have changed. We call them what? Tenses have changed. The first tense was we, plural. Now, when they got there, the question is webereremu. Hey, younger lady, what is your problem? You told me you are mine. Yes. So now the thing is webereremu. So they have left the masses on the mass of RDCs. But if you, the RDC, you also hostile, people will not come. So for these remaining months, as we complete the manifesto, I request that you open your doors to people, because you have too much. They have a lot to share with you, and they need, actually, but they bagana call it their floating weed, but people are just floating. And the good thing, they are there for us to grab. So let's do that. Forget, I've mentioned about land grabbing, and I've finished on that note. Now, as I conclude, first of all, I'm very grateful they have appraised you where we are in terms of manifesto implementation, but these are now our commitments to the country. So please go back to your districts and pick all these things. I think you've told them. Pick them and tell the people. Normally, especially districts from Central here, which I understand a lot, we have this contention in our heads. Government telinache tukozechi, but is speaking government telinache tukolede is just next to the general. Can you imagine? Next to the door of a primary school which has been just constructed, next to a CD secondary school, next to a good road like a ring road. You know the ring road. Next to a power line, government telinache tukozechi. Then you ask, what do you want the government to do for you? Kati olaba kyali senga kati naffe tulinawo kano network sente netuteekako okiraba namugani, is that how you assess your government? Mani kati nze bwemba siina kati government government kyammwe tekitugasiza, because which government is going to work for you? Katulindeyo omuyaayi. You are waiting for the government of what? And you expect omuyaayi to do for you any what? So now these are the things. You go back to all our areas and then we start. The other day I was in Kawempe. Pastor Wangalwa. I was in Kawempe. We were together in a satanic battle. I left them, me, I believe in you, our parents, you taught me badly. Me, I believe in working like, natembea kamba simba. Slowly. Can you imagine, in 3 days, I was able to cover all the 9 parishes, in all those zones, and I was going door to door. He knows that RCC. Even we for us, we established our command post somewhere deep among communities, and then we started listening to them. Oh, PDM, yes. PDM. Then you, what is the problem? But you got PDM, yes. And you did what? Now you see, I expanded my business. Okay, what else do you want Museveni to do for you? The drainage, there's a pastor, we agree with you. What is the problem? Was this drainage constructed? Yes. Why is it? It's dirty. Anti-government, can you imagine? Who puts these things there? Minister, be very from the hero when it rains. Ooh. And then you look at them. To tell them, government in a but you are the mayor and I'm paying him 15 million shillings every month, religiously and diligently. So these are now the things. Unless when we turn around and change the attitude of our people. Especially people from the central, you people from the central. The whole country is moving. For us, we are lamenting. And I tell you, yesterday I was on the radio, I told them, you have 5 million votes. Quote this. You have 5 million votes. The country has 18 million voters. Are you getting it? Yes. 5 minus 18, you remain with what? 13. Now, if I'm competing with you and I get 13 million votes, do I need your 5? Okay, even if you have 7 and I remove from 18, I remain with what? Don't you think President Museveni can get all the votes he wants? From Butevo, I see my sister from Butevo. Is she here? Yeah. You know that one is my sister. So when you see people are doing well, just know they are bloody related with me. Sebunya, Inikoya. So people will now do what? People will vote us against. The whole country will turn against us. Because we failed to know the president's simple messages. I've not seen, if Kennedy, General will really tell you this, because he has been in OWC. All these successes, Muzei is seeing in Bunyolo, in Teso, in what, they are very rare in Buganda, in the central region here. You walk in a parish, you'll find only one command with a so-called model, 5 acres of coffee, and is bragging and so on. There, you see somebody has adopted everything. And for them, Tebeguya set a government, they will only say, Orugudorubi, this one, the market. You know, they're speaking now, money. For us, agende, now my statement is clear. Those who are forcing you to go and breed for them, you will watch them when they will watch you when you are breeding. Am I communicating? Yes. Yeah. Those who are saying you go and for them, they are going to be the very, very people watching you bleeding out of that action. I saw it in Kawempe. And I started smiling. These boys, I say, now, look at these ones. And when I sing Maika song, they say, Chofalangira. Ntirengere mbata, lengere mputa, lengere. Because we are not seeing that. So just be mindful, you have 7 million votes. The whole country has a balance of 13. And I'm pretty sure the way I see things, even most hostile things from Gulu, Acholi region, Lango sub-region, West Nile region. Actually, I'm even pleading to them that you people don't go. Stay with your people. Everyone is saying, I think NRM. The other day I saw the FDC man, you know that super guy? Akol? The man is also, he is close to NRM. Cut us off my uncle. So many. Actually, we have a problem now in the northern region to appeal to people to stand against us. Because everyone is saying, oh, we were lost. And we were amachi. I mean, everyone will run to where things are. Now for us, we are still in that dream. So wake up from the dream, go and tell the people, and then we have a few months, but these few months should be the foundation for our launch of 2026. And I don't want now to remind you that our own is there, is around. Come 2020 what? Don't dream about any other thing. President Museveni is there to come 2020 what? So what you do, vote for NRM, the rest will be sorted. Amen? Amen? So tell people, vote for NRM, the rest will be sorted. Now, as you're going back to your districts, these are the things we want us to popularize. Like I told you, pick things NRM has done. Just for 5 years. Only 5 years. And tell people. When you speak to people, people will listen. Now, as I conclude, I am sure leaders, now you are the leaders who can drive the socio-economic transformation ideology to our people. So please go back and emphasize that. Secondly, this one actually, the director will speak about it at any time when he is sending you out, because that's when I know the message will be sinking in your heads. As you're going out, you know, currently we have a certain war. Forget about these wars these people fought. That is nonsense. For us, we no longer even think about that one. We are lucky we are not seeing those wars. We hear them in Sudan, in Congo, Somalia. Let them stay in their trouble. But now for us, we are focusing on social media war. Because of science, which Cosmas promoted and the minister and everything, through the president Museveni's ideology and outlook as things, you know, now we've reached to phase 4 of our economy recovery strategies. Is it phase 5 or 4? Which stage are we? 4 and 5, the science. Now we have this, the social media war. This is a battle all of us, we in the NRM, we've lost. Am I lying? Wano batukubye kasoma siri wamatwini watu tuli bulungi muganda chairman wantu wano batusingako. The propaganda war. By the way, in all those wars you've had, people are fighting Ukraine where the Israel's conflict, the war is just fought under this propaganda, then science comes in. So if we are not ready for this propaganda war to counter, I beg you, all of us, we better accept and surrender. But me, I'm not ready. That's why I'm happy. What I've done to neutralize this war in Kampala. What we've done in Kampala is to chase them away, he knows, Mr. Bamwin. We've chased them a bit on radio. But again, all of us, we are very much ignorant when it comes to those phones and other things. Because for you go on the radio, you chase them away. Then for them, they are spending a lot of time on TikTok, CG's Twitter. Twitter is now called what? That one exists, money what? Facebook, this side of chat, Snapchat, what? So please, cadres, let's now focus on this. And I think Nali, I will urge Nali to come up with a certain menu to help these people, to help us All of us, including me, because you are minister, you don't have time to always be there chatting, this, that. Guys, just buy MBs, is it 100 MBs? And you will nasura katwa. And that's, by the way, why we lost Kawempe. These are some of the things we don't say. They defeated us here because of the propaganda. For us to hear Nange, you see, get clever ones. So please be mindful of the social, the warfare, the media warfare is really very, it's up there. So we need to counter, we need to know how we influence, we need to come up with strategies, we need to fight negativity. And because of that, if we counter, if we master on this one, we'll be able to directly de-radicalize the youth. Because the youth are now radical. I don't know if you agree with me. So we need now to de-radicalize the youth by removing the negativity, because now the negativity has already been planted. So how do we go about the negativity? How do we reclaim, or how do we reshape our youth? By trying to de-resolution, so that we bring them back to the train, to the track. It's a bit critical. I saw this youth, I didn't know how serious it was until the by-election of Kawempe. Really, I saw how people can play on our mind. Do you know that those people went and they kutungisa the jet uniforms? The very man who was commanding a parade at Kavule, he was again the very, very boy who was holding a stick to beat people. And they have a so-called group called Alonda Boys, centered around Makerere there. And they didn't get anybody in Kawempe. They went to Machindie, to his Machindie, to Nakawa, and imported the people. So nobody was arrested from Kawempe because they were also mindful that when it comes to vote, to election day, there are people around. And then they prayed on our heads, and eventually, they tutandika okulamentinga. So for netuzukukanga bukozechi. Then they had to make sure, provoke, because of the patience, lack of patience, immediately, muita mtia kutambuza katambi. Never tambuza katambi. Before we realize, this was by the time they went to Simanyi, TV, speak gently. Oh. And secondly, you people who go to these media houses to speak, you Catholics like me. The man is speaking with fire and vibe and what? For us, you see, NRM. Wait for that. We shall go back to KYANKWANZI if you are there to speak to ourselves in that spirit and in those tongues. Dawa ya moto ni what? The man is spitting fire, and for you are saying, oh. That's why none of them wants to be on any station with me. Because they know, oyo mulalu wa Museveni oyo. Gobuza bali mwezo. Ho! Togenda mu studio na chofa. Oyo! Lukwago cannot even cross my line when I'm either TV or what. He knows we are going to. Then facts. Have your facts on your fingertips. Why Mzee is defeating all of us with the so-called younger generation, Gen Zs? The man has his facts. Manuel president is speaking without facts. But imagine a whole RDC, you go to a community without facts. You will just fall into an ambush. Just merely, can you really gather some information and then you go to a place when you are armed? That's why science is here, to help us get facts. And that is where that is the only trick I used to defeat Lukwago, because he used to come with so many books, lying people. I said, Polly. I went and started, Oh, I said, calm down. I give you 770 million Uganda shillings every year for tea. Then I give you 1.5 billion every year for donation. Then I give you fuel worth 300 million. Then I've just given you a vehicle worth 500 million. Tell me how you spend this money. Have you ever accounted for your donations? The money ran out of the studio. Facts. Because the donation was, look, I said, this is your office. You employ 15 people who are your brothers. Only 3 are working. The rest are working, and we pay them this amount of money, 33 million each. Facts. So let us now, you people, let's equip ourselves with facts. That's how the whole country will know until we are serious and we are ready to secure their future. May God bless all of you. I'm happy that you invited me, either by osmosis or by default. I'm here. And I pray that you continue with your programs. At least, how many presenters do we still have? Yes, but I'm sure our senior brigadier general Mwanguzi will be the one to make a statement that I declare. Me have not declared, because I want you to be here, finish up, then I will, let's meet. Wacha tukutane kwa Chiwanje, because I know you are coming back. But I'm pretty sure today or early morning you have a safe journey to where you came from. Amen. And I'm happy I found you very healthier than the way you came. Munyirira, Director, thank you for feeding my people. Because everyone is really looking healthier. So I'm very happy for everything which is going on, and I pledge on behalf of the presidency, we are yours, you are ours, so we shall continue looking after our children. No child will be left unattended to. Stop crying, but always channel your complaints through the right channels. The commissioners are here just for you. Pass the complaints, and then we address them promptly. But bottom line, just to know, whatever you do, you are the eyes of His Excellency the President. So if you work well, the President is achieving. If you shame him,